Okay. Welcome to the bi-weekly Koala meeting. We have a small group here, and I do appreciate you being here. I guess we have no newcomers, and since Steve left, I think we updated you last time on what's going on in ECMA TC54, that we formed a new working group for the common life cycle enumeration that Benny leads. We're excited by that. It's an important piece of the software transparency puzzle, and it's an OWASP project you can find on the OWASP website if you're interested. Work is also going on in the package URL and verse working group under Philippe. So there is a lot of interesting work going on. We think that Perl, the base of Perl, not all the Perl types, will be standardized fairly soon or ready for standard. They have approval every half year. And possibly T comes after Perl, and then common lifecycle enumeration. Any questions about that? And you are aware of our CycloneDX process, that we have community meetings where we do the work. Then we hand over to the official task group meetings in ECMA, where we actually prepare documents for standardization and take it through the standardization process. We have to read through everything and so on. So as we're getting our documents hardened, we'll need to combine them into one and produce something and start those working groups. So all the fun happens in these meetings, and the standardization kind of boring work happens there. And we have a few members of ECMA from Lockheed that will help us through that process as well. Okay, the main task of today, I would say, is KoalaCon planning. We do have over 60 registrations already, but I haven't seen the major companies. Maybe they registered with Gmail addresses, but I haven't seen anyone from Sonatype and Black Duck and those companies. And we'll see. It's a mixture of customers and vendors, I think.
Yeah, I promised to do a shout out on the Monday meetings, but yesterday I got it pulled into a different meeting, so I couldn't make yesterday's meeting. Monday's meeting. But I'll do a shout out to this next time I'm attending that meeting, and hopefully I can drive some more traffic.
Yeah, I mean, if we get 100 registrations, probably 50 will show up, but that's still a good turnout. And then afterwards, we will have to, all of us, promote the video.
Yeah, 100%.
Let's look at the agenda. We do have a placeholder on the Eventbrite site, but I need to update that with more details. Steve and I had a discussion on the Zoom link, but we can't really create that yet. So we will have to mail that out when we get closer, because if we are way over 100, my Zoom account won't be able to take it. Then we have to use OWASP, but OWASP costs some money, so we have to be careful with using that. But they have an account with up to 1,000 participants, but the cost is heavy. So we're looking and waiting, but I'm hoping to get many more registrations. I
Okay, so
think
let's work on the
you,
registrations and then worry afterwards if there are too many.
yeah. So I think you all have access to this document I'm showing.
Do
The
you check that in
invitation.
the chat? Ola?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. Probably I can.
Okay, where's the chat? There.
Maybe I already have it.
Yeah.
Just
Anyway,
don't know
there
it.
are many links floating around.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've written a kind of general introduction text. I have a meeting this Friday with the OWASP events team. That's why I want to get something
No.
ready, because I'm asking for their help in promoting this. I started adding to the agenda. We chatted, but I didn't get to asking you, Piotr, but having an open source project like yours in here would be beneficial if you want to talk.
Yeah.
But I'm nice and having Steve as the introduction, then going straight into what is T and how does it work. I will have to set up a schedule. We have 1.5 hours including Q&A, so the talks will be fairly short. I will include T discovery in my talk. Then Anthony will talk about the object model. He was part of building that, the products, leaves, collections, and the artifacts, right? And I asked Niklas, and he accepted. Niklas Duster from Dependency Track. He's one of the co-lead there and developers. He hasn't approved the text, but hopefully he will read it soon. But it would be nice to have Dependency Track saying a few words about how this fits in, especially with their new architecture that is awesome, a real distributed model.
Yeah.
Then I put Victor in a corner just a few minutes ago, and because I wanted a commercial vendor to say a few words.
Yeah, happy to do that one.
Yeah. But what do you say, Piotr?
Yeah. Yes, so I can talk about my perspective, which is in the middle. So I don't produce applications, but I have dependencies. So I see T as a nice way to communicate with vendors and to communicate with dependencies. Yeah. Yeah, I think the main point is it's a library. So
Yeah, that's kind of interesting, both with open source and being a library, not an application, because you fit right into the
because applications
here.
are just like commercial products.
Yeah, but you could, I mean, if you have an embedded system, you include a lot of different open source applications.
Yeah.
Like curl and other things, right, running. Okay, I never learned to spell your name, but I have it in front here.
Carwash, like car wash, but with NSZ.
a Polish car wash. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it Apache log project you want
Apache
to...
logging.
Logging, yeah.
Yeah. Logging services.
Yeah, then people can find out that, oh, that's Log4j.
Yeah, if you want to publicize, you can add VP logging, Apache VP logging services. I don't remember what's the title. Yeah. The person that writes a report every 3 months has a vice president title in the Apache.
Oh, okay. I'm really bad with titles, but I remember from working in the US that the US market is critical for them because they don't
They
can't
like
figure
it?
out
I thought they
can't
don't like it.
they can't figure out how to treat you unless you have titles. So and I had business cards with no title. That was
That's why
confusing to me.
I never put I never put my title on business cards for that reason.
Yeah, I mean the people I did business back then, they knew that when I added in my emails, added founder and CEO as titles on the email, then I was really pissed off, and they needed to act quickly.
Actually,
Otherwise, it was
the
just
US
Ole.
don't like titles. In Poland, they like scientific titles and even.
This is more business titles, not the scientific titles. But
So
in
at the
Germany,
university, professor,
everyone you work with
engineer,
is
doctor, blah blah blah, everything.
yeah. Yeah, but maybe that's just me because I have no formal education. I'm just waiting for someone to discover that I don't know shit about this. But that's like
I don't have the engineer title either because I come from mathematics.
the only training I have is book publisher and editor. So that's life. Anyway, I think we're pretty good. I will check with the other guys here. But I think this
Can we add,
agenda works well.
Well, can we add in
Number
time
25th.
slots roughly?
I was going to do that. Maybe not in this text, but let's copy.
No, just so we know roughly like when to go on. Obviously, you'll be there, but it's just good housekeeping, I guess.
So we have what time did we say? This is 17.
What time zone is it? 17 Central European time?
Yeah.
I think that's only relevant for Anthony.
Yeah, Steve is somewhere else
Oh,
as well.
Steve, but Steve
I'm also UK time.
Steve knows that he needs to check the time zone.
Yeah, he knows that.
Even if Anthony probably always needs to check it also.
Yeah. So let's just play around here. Oh, Jotam.
Oh.
Hello, Jotam. We haven't got any audio from you, but you're welcome anyway.
I think your mic is closed. You are muted.
You're talking about me?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, didn't hear
Hi.
the greet. Hi. Sorry.
You're very welcome. Okay. I think we had 1.5 hours, didn't we? I think we scheduled 1.5 hours, so this is already too much. See if I'm stealing a few minutes from Steve. Let's say where I got 20 minutes. Let's give him 20 minutes. Jotam, we're planning KoalaCon.
Yeah, I got it from the context. I assumed that was right.
Yeah.
Yeah, then probably we can adapt if people start Q&A earlier, we can shorten the official Q&A.
Yeah. But running over time is not a problem.
So,
People
okay.
won't miss anything, but I think we have pretty good timing here. Right?
Yeah.
So, Jotam, to recapitulate, we have written an invitation that's on Eventbrite. We have today about 60 registrations, but I haven't seen, but maybe they're using Gmail addresses, industry actors like Sonatype, Black Duck, etc., Endo Labs. I will push my personal contacts, but if we all can do that, that would be good. I've seen customer side registrations, both from Sweden and other places, which is interesting.
And open source repositories, Pipey.
But I don't know if they use email addresses that tell me that.
Okay.
They are from there, but we'll see. So Jotam, we've written a text. I think you have the link, otherwise you have it in the chat if you want to suggest changes. And we have produced
I actually don't have it in the chat because the chat is only, the history is only since from I joined, so from the time I joined.
Okay. I'll fix that. Now you have it in the chat.
Now I have it. Thank you.
Okay. So I think we have a good agenda. I just need approval from a few people, but I take it that Victor and Piotr, you're happy with this as of now?
Yeah.
And
Yes, sir.
Jotam, I told the guys earlier that I have a meeting with OWASP event people that promote events on all the OWASP channels. That meeting is on Friday. So after that, we'll have. Right now, we only had my channels, but hopefully we'll get a bit more.
I can also maybe I'll do also a LinkedIn post, and maybe I'll talk to Chris Hughes. I know he's an advisor at Endor, and maybe he can push it around his circles.
Oh,
to
is
get
he
a
an
bit wider
advisory
audience.
to Endor? Yeah, that would be good.
Cool.
I made a picture. Hang on here. That I've used this one.
Cool. So I'll reach out to him and also post myself for a bit.
Yeah. Tony Turner will likely do something fairly soon as well. He's traveling to Copenhagen and he claims he won't have jet lag. I don't believe that, but
Yeah,
he's going to a conference, a first conference, I believe it was in Copenhagen. I wasn't aware of that one.
OWASP?
No. Öredev is today. Yeah, I was supposed to talk at Öredev last year, but I got sick, so I sent someone that obviously was better because he's speaking today. That happens. Okay. Thank you for your help and feedback here. And
Is there an OWASP page where KoalaCon is that talks about
OWASP?
KoalaCon? Yeah.
No,
Or
the
there
only
is-
thing we have is the Eventbrite.
Okay.
But possibly the event people can help me. I haven't got access to anything in OWASP. Okay. Let's see. Okay. On to something else, unless you have questions. No. I also written an article together with Benny on the common life cycle enumeration, and mentioned how that fits into Koala here.
Yeah.
I think that project is, for me personally, I think it's critical to know if products are end of life or end of support and so on. But it is an interesting problem area, especially where you have open source projects that have a version that they don't support, but Red Hat still have it in the LTS, and how we map that. Sorry, Victor, you said something.
Well, yeah, did you see that conversation on the CISA Aspen community? There was a big conversation about end of life that I didn't quite track myself, but there was a conversation last week.
No, I didn't. Please send me a link or something.
Yeah, you need to join the mailing list or Google group rather. If you don't have the link, I'll let you know. But there was a long conversation about that already. I haven't. Yeah,
I haven't got the link, but I have the sticker.
I don't have the sticker, but I can find you a link. Let me see if I can dig it out. I think it's an invite-only group.
Okay. So, I think that's enough admin. We took half an hour, but it was important to get the agenda straight. I tried to open a lot of tickets on various ideas and thoughts and things that come up, so we can resolve them together. I haven't seen much action on them, but there was something coming now on CNAME. Maybe that was you, Piotr. I will have to look into that.
Yeah,
you made a comment.
I started my homework late and
yeah. But the DNS redirection question, I think that came from you, Victor, originally.
Yes.
And I took it with some of the DNS gurus I work with. They're both in the DNS directorate of the IETF and blah, blah, blah. But they said CNAME is perfectly good for redirection. For instance, if you have want your own domain T service to be handled by a service provider, an external company, that will be a one way of solving it, unless you want to write your own URI records. So I think we have enough data. We're ready to write. Next week I will have plenty of time. I'm just finishing off a multi-year consultancy project. So unfortunately, I will get tons of time, but that usually ends fairly quick. So I'm going to use that for writing text here, so we get moving forward. Any tickets of these that you want to discuss in this meeting and see if we can move further? I can move into GitLab. So while you think, Victor had some ideas here on GS1 EN. So we're going to set up a separate meeting to discuss how to integrate that. We want Thomas, I haven't met him in meetings, but he suddenly opened tickets and pull requests and fixed spelling errors. I really appreciate that. But I had written some bad text that seemed to say that you can't change the VEX files, and that was stupid. So we're going to fix
the
that.
official spelling is British English, yes?
In the ECMA standard, it's the King's
British
English, yes. In EU, it's Irish English nowadays, since the English guys disappeared from the horizon. So we're all grand in the EU. We had a brainstorm for T-Publisher. I thank you all that gave me feedback on that. I don't think I committed the presentation. There is a presentation directory where I try to store the presentations. But I think we have a lot of input on publication, various models for that. But I'm going to publish that so you can browse it and give feedback. T usage for open source project. I have a feeling that most of the texts are focused on commercial vendors, but we need to make sure we have attractive text and explanations for open source projects. While working with the publication presentation, we had a meeting with Piotr and the rest of the Apache security group. And I realized that the actual storage of artifacts may be outside of the T-service. The T-service just provide pointers. If you don't need any authorization, authentication, you may want to publish your artifacts as part of your Git repo or something else. As long as you can provide a URL, T should be fine with it. But we need to document.
I toyed with something relatively, well, last week actually, which might be relevant, at least because I know you've been bullish on signing these SBOMs, Ola.
I am.
And the good news is that if you live in the GitHub world, it's trivial to do this now, and actually super nice to do. It's literally like one line of code.
That's cosign integration, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But literally, like, I can show you how it works.
Do you want to share screen or?
Yeah, I can do. Yeah, I can do. Give me a second here. The right repository and a window that is actually shareable. Let me see. So I did for this project. So share. Yeah, so it's super easy to use. So I already baked it into the documentation for our GitHub Actions module. But essentially, all you need to do is to add, you generate your SBOM, you write to disk, and this is the syntax we use for that. Then you just call this a test build provenance actions module.
Oh,
point it to the GitHub, point it to the SBOM, and voila, now you have attestation on the SBOM itself. And the way you use it is actually rather clever. So you can just download that from the repository. So in this example, I downloaded from Spomify. Then you just run this command, point it to the file you download, say which GitHub repo or a GitHub repo owner it comes from, and it will automatically do attestation on it and actually validate the downloaded file cryptographically. So that's super nice, actually.
So you use the CLI for verification, attestation verification.
Yeah.
That's clever.
Yeah.
But there has to be a GitHub action for that as well. If I bring in my build.
Yeah, you can definitely do it inside of GitHub Action as well. This case obviously is running on the desktop or wherever you would do a third party. But the point is that you literally just need to add these lines and no messing around with key infrastructure or anything at
Okay.
all taken care of by GitHub. And
I'm going to open a new ticket where I task you with writing up something or giving me pointers.
yeah, that's fine.
Because
So
in my hi Vinod.
Here.
In my pull request, I had thoughts about how to use cosine, and I was gonna fix that, but
yeah,
I
so
didn't have
this
GitHub,
is,
so
yeah. So this is how it looks like on the run level. So it gives you attestation there, and then you can zoom in and see all the metadata around attestation as well.
yeah.
So it's by far the easiest way I've seen this implemented. So yeah, it's a very nice experience, I think.
Sweet.
And for free.
Sweet. I have a few meetings planned. Simon Jusesson, a Swedish guy who is one of the brains behind Yubico and maintainer of GNU TLS, has a track on FOSDEM. I don't remember. It was something with securing supply chains or something. So I'm discussing with him and a couple of other guys as well to set up a larger meeting around the signing of all this stuff and how to do that.
There's an SBOM room
Okay.
of FOSDEM this year for what it's worth. Or next year.
There is an SBOM room hosted by SPDX.
Right.
And I think they just released their call for papers. I can send out the links in the Slack channel later on. So we need to get in there.
I won't be able to attend, but I would love to go, but I unfortunately won't be able to attend this next one. Okay.
There's also a day before FOSDEM that Philip Ombredam is organizing. There's a nice site called Open Source Week that have a lot of the other, I would say, events. I think this is his post-license and security compliance tools. I missed that last year. It's on Hotel Bedford.
Okay.
But it's for tool developers and users. And Philippe is the guy who spearheads the package URL, but he's also been part of creating SPDX and CycloneDX. Nice. So this is an interesting meeting on the Friday before FOSDEM. And it's free or €100 if you want to pay.
Cool.
Okay. Back to issues. GS1 Vex, we said a T publisher, T usage for open source projects. I'm trusting you, Piotr, to help me out there. We have proposals for a lot of formats. I think we possibly need to do a review of them. I have produced some sample code that outputs some stuff and manage it. So I know that you code-wise can actually work with these formats. But we need to review them and agree on them. I've written most of them. Hello, Paul. Welcome.
Where are we?
Good seeing you.
Very late.
Yeah, we're in the middle of going through open tickets and discussing them. We have a lot to complete and text to produce. That's life. But before you arrived, we discussed KoalaCon. We have 60 registrations, but we haven't seen much from your company and other companies around in the business. So we still need to figure out how to reach out and get there. I'll send you the link.
So, Ollie, does that mean nobody from Sonotype has signed up?
I haven't seen that.
Okay. I have already suggested some people join, so I will remind them.
Maybe they use their Gmail address or something else. Here's a link to the agenda.
Right,
I also had a meeting earlier with Steve and Brian. Brian is aware of this work and the Koala. We set an agenda quickly, but you got a link so you can watch it and see what's going on. Just let me know if you have any thoughts or recommendations. I'm extremely good in writing Swedish English, but American is something else. When I write artifact, it's so close to the Swedish artifact, and I know that English and American can't agree on the spelling. I have to call my friends in Ireland and see if they can judge what to write, but I write it differently all the time. Okay. Review of the formats, I think, is essential since it's mostly a one-person job right now, and we need to make sure it's group output. I have some strange things. I'm not sure that they're good. For an artifact, I actually have a list of files with different formats. They should have the same content. And this came from a discussion we had earlier that we wanted to support HTTP content negotiation. So if the client says, I prefer SPDX over CycloneDX, and we have both formats, you'll get SPDX or PDF over text files or something similar. But please go through and tell me if it's too complex or if it's actually something useful or if we can simplify. Chris isn't here today, but I need to set up a meeting with him to discuss the medical device ID. This is huge in the US. The medical device business have really hard requirements on SBOMs. And I think we have in the meeting notes some pictures. Let's see. He gave us earlier here. There are identifiers that we need to include. I don't think I don't know if you see anything, but there's a unique device identifier here. From the TEI discovery point of view, the text string that we add in the TEI is just transparent. The reason why we have a type is if we want to be able to have syntax checks on the identifier. But the interesting thing is when you have identifiers, I don't know if this is one, but the identifier includes a vendor identifier. It suddenly gets very interesting because we still want to find a website, right? And that's why the TI first have a domain name and then have the identifier. If we don't have the domain name, then we need a resolution of some kind from the identifier vendor ID to a DNS name. And I don't think if that's in scope for us to fix or if this is something you fix on a vertical business basis. It is doable, but I don't want to operate global directories of stuff.
That seems very much out of scope to me, at least.
Yeah. So I would suggest we add a domain name and the whole identifier. And if someone complains, then we'll just ask them to provide us with a directory, and that's it.
It's also solved problem in GS1, I think, because then you can include a domain name in the GS1 standard. It's only a problem medical.
Yeah. But I know ISP book numbers, for instance, if we ever touch that's a publisher ID and a book ID in one.
Yeah.
But I think they already have sold that in DNS with a URI namespace. Okay, what was that? Medical device ID, DNS redirection. Oh, do we have 2 tickets? No? Okay. Author, I looked back and I when I created a collection on that, I just added author. I stole it basically from CycloneDX. But what is the author here? We, as a consumer, I want to make sure it comes from the right vendor. In some cases, like the EU certificate of compliance with CRA or other radio directive, there has to be a person in the document at least. But do we actually need an author, or is it okay to just keep the namespace, the vendor? In some cases for open source project, we only have an email address for many JavaScript and Python libraries. So that will become the vendor. We have to acknowledge that, but
I mean, I would look at NTIA minimum elements, right? And kind of make it somewhat aligned with
yeah,
that.
but that's the SBOM, right? And that's okay.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah.
But in T, we're talking with a domain name which should represent a company. A company can have many T services for various divisions or product groups or what they want. But the author in T, I think I copied a bit too much, but please give me your feedback. Think about it. We can make it either optional or we can remove it. But if you see any good usage of it, we'll keep it. Okay. The sequence diagrams, we probably need to look at. Have you seen them, Paul? The sequence diagrams? No? Let's take a tour then. We made basically 2 diagrams. They're not fully done yet, but you can find them here on their API flow in our tracker. But let's see if I can enlarge this a bit. So the first version is from the user point of view, where we have discovery. We get a list of API servers with failover and load balancing. We go back there with a product identifier. We can get a list of product parts. Then we find all the versions of a part. We select a version. We get the T collection. The T collection is the list of SBOM files, other attestations for a particular version of a particular software. And then you download the artifact, right? So that's the consumer side of the API. Christopher also did a producer standpoint. This is a good example. I don't think this fits everyone, and the text is far too small for you guys to read. I'm sorry for that. But he involved here something which is an SBOM generator, a VEX generator, a VDR generator, and I can't see. GitHub has placed boxes on top of that. Maybe this is a file repository. But I think it's an interesting flow. You create a new version in your product repository. And after you do that, you actually update the T service with a new version. And then you create a collection for that, and you get the UID back, and then you populate the collection with all the artifacts. So take a look at this. We need to really start working on the open API specs. We have 1 or 2 versions proposed. I will move them into our repository because they're elsewhere. And we need to look at them. I'm personally not sure if we can live with one combined API spec for consumer and publisher. I think they're different animals, but do consider that.
I would probably drop the product, the producer API for now to see how.
Yeah, I think the
I'm not sure it's
consumer is
necessary.
the critical one to, as a first step to standardize. The producer one is more complex, especially if we involve code signing and so. Okay. We need, as in all APIs, we need version in the object so we can actually move on to new versions. I think I added that to my code, but not the spec. We have a question from Chris Gates, and I think the answer here simply is yes. If I want to monitor one of my products and see if there are any new versions released and possibly the lifecycle events of my existing versions, I think T is a very good candidate for that. Piotr, you added a ticket, I think. No, I added a ticket, but I think it was your idea, so I blame you.
Yeah, we
supporting
commented it
PGP.
somewhere. I don't remember where.
Yeah. But I think for
request.
migration, PGP that is used in all over open source should properly be supported.
These are signatures.
Yeah, next week I'll start writing the IETF documents to register the URN and the URI. I don't think that will be a huge problem, but we need to register them so we get the namespaces for it.
Should we consider adding it to security text instead?
Well, not instead, but I think that's a good idea in addition. But I don't, that's a different discovery mechanism.
So it's
I'm not sure, or maybe we have a ticket here on that.
So it would be just
I know
in the security TXT file.
Yeah, I know you proposed it somewhere. Maybe you added that as a comment.
Slack. Yeah, on Slack.
Okay. Yeah, we definitely need to do something there as well. But
so because that one is already somehow deployed. I think Apache also uses security TXT.
Yeah. It's a good idea, but I don't think one replaces the other one because security text requires you to know the URL. And with discovery, you find the URL. So it works together. So we need to make sure we have a ticket on that. I'll make a note.
But what I meant, okay, the URN is necessary, but the well-known can be used with security TXT instead. So security TXT already has a well-known. So instead of adding the same information into places,
it doesn't really. I'll think about that. Okay, I see what you mean.
So the URN needs to be registered.
Oh, you have here, yeah. You already have it in the Exactly right ticket. Perfect.
Ah.
Let's come back to that. We only have a few minutes left, but please go through these and see if you can make any comments or help us move forward. And if you want to produce any pull requests on the text, I'll be more than happy to receive it and review it for you. We need to start producing some text here. Oh gosh, it's big. Oh, I made it. So my hope is that we can get somehow a first version of the consumer API ready before Christmas. I would very much love to have a hackathon online and physical around FOSDEM. Now that Philippe set a date for his, we can either do it Thursday in Brussels if we get some sponsoring offices. Looking at you, Paul, do Sonatype have offices in Brussels? No. Okay.
London we could help out with.
Okay, so maybe, I mean, there's a conference in London directly after FOSDEM, the State of OpenCon or something.
Yeah.
So Victor also suggested that he had access to offices. So maybe we can look at doing something in London and take the train over together, the T train, and then go to State of OpenCon. But I would love to have
next year.
Yeah, I would love to have a hackathon there, and we would also have to start planning for I think it's around the end of May. OWASP has the application security conference in Barcelona. That was in Lisbon last year. It's a really good conference, and I would like all of us to propose talks. And also, there's a call for trainings that came out today. So I'll work with Steve, who's on the board, to try to force us into the agenda. But we can also propose. I think call for papers will come out fairly soon as well, if the call for trainings came out today.
Yeah, the date is 26 May to 28 May, right? The link is
Oh,
there.
so that, okay, thank you. So I had the dates right. Because there were other dates communicated before.
I mean,
anything else? Sorry?
Yeah, it may be the training. So training normally start 2 days before the conference. So
Yeah.
it may be the training date, like if you are planning to offer any training, but yeah. But the conference may be on 29 or 30 as well. I won't know. Yeah.
I think the trainings they offer compensation. You get some percent of the revenues for the trainings because they charge for the trainings. But the talks you won't get any compensation for. Anything else you want to discuss? Okay. So see you in the issue tracker, and I love getting too many pull requests. I won't have time to go through them, but I warn you, I have a lot of time to go through your pull request from Monday on. Since I have no other work, I will just sit and wait for pull requests to come in. And or help me with mine, review what I do. And otherwise, I'll see you on the Slack channel, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.
See you guys. Cheers.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Now for stopping the recording. There we are.